Hello everyone, my name is DustInLint's, and welcome to a Let's Look At for a game called Oxygen Not Included. This is a game developed by Clay Entertainment based in Canada. You might know them for other games such as Don't Starve, as well as Invisible Ink. Those are a couple of their more popular releases. They've also made a couple of other games as well that I can't think of off the top of my head, which is really bad. But, yeah, you might be wondering, what is this latest game that they've developed? What's it all about? Well, it is a space colony simulation game where you manage your colonists and help them dig, build, and maintain a subterranean asteroid base. You'll need water, warmth, food, and oxygen to keep them alive, and even more than that to keep them happy. Now, this game is in a early alpha state right now, so this footage is not indicative of what the full release will be like. That being said, in its current state, it is actually very, very playable with very few bugs that I've noticed thus far. When we get started here, you'll notice that the development build will be at the top of the screen at all times, so you'll be able to know just how old this video is depending on when you're watching it. And we will start up a new game here. I put in a good amount of time to try and get a good grasp of how the early to mid game is like. I haven't gone much further past that. So we will generate a world here. At the start of the game, you will have 3 duplicates that you can choose to start off with. All of them are randomly generated. So right now we have a artist here who has some positive stats here: digging, tinkering, construction, creativity, and strength. That's actually a pretty good start. Tilly, who's also actually pretty good here with +7 digging, at least for the very beginning. And they also have traits: interior decorator. They have plus to creativity and decor expectations. So decor expectations, the higher it is, the harder it is to please them with good decor. Meanwhile, say someone who has uncultured has -20, so they don't have very many expectations. They're usually pretty happy most of the time. But they also have some stress related statuses. Like, if this person here gets too stressed out, they start to vomit, which you might think, oh, that's pretty bad, but in some situations, it might not be terrible. You could convert their vomit into filtered clean water to use to fuel all of your other water systems, which sounds disgusting, but trust me, it's actually not terrible. And then diver's lungs, less air consumption rate, awesome. And irritable bowel, bladder efficiency, -0.5. Now, I think all these starting characters are actually pretty good. You could shuffle them, but for the purposes of starting off good here, I won't do that. And you can also put in your own name for a colony or randomly generate one. I find that the randomly generated ones are pretty interesting. The not so beautiful homestead, for instance, and we'll embark right away here. Pretty fortunate there. Hopefully our starting seed is not bad. In fact, this actually looks pretty good. Okay, so alert! Your crew has excuse me. Your crew has awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Oddly, they have no recollection of how they got here. It might be best to start digging. So you can pause the game at any point with spacebar. You can press tab to choose how fast the game goes at. It gives you the cycle, or cycles are basically days, and the population of your colony, the highest stress that anyone has, as well as stress that everyone has, how many calories are available for everyone. Some tooltips here, like the colony requires toilets right away. Yes. And like some other games, which I'm not going to down them for not including this, like RimWorld, In fact, RimWorld is a great game that I think is heavily inspired by. Doesn't have, so I kind of like the fact that this game includes so many niche little details. Here you can click to see what everyone's jobs are, what they can and can't do, and what they're best at. Red, or the more red it is, the better they are at that job. If there's no check mark, they just can't do that job. You can check out everyone's vitals here, their fullness, their stress, how many calories they've eaten. You can manage how many calories per day they eat. You can get daily reports on how much oxygen generation you have, power usage, wasted, calorie generation, stress change, travel time, and idle time, and eventually a research tab as well. You can pop up a variety of overlays, like an oxygen one where you can see how much breathable oxygen there is everywhere, color-coded as well. Power grid, we don't have any power yet. Temperature overlay. Right now, green is very temperate, blue is chilled. I haven't encountered anything really thus far more than temperate for the most part, but I'm sure the further out you dig, the more different kinds you'll encounter. A lighting overlay, just pretty basic right there. Plumbing, we don't have any plumbing set up yet, as well as gas plumbing. Decor, apparently this is very high decor. That kind of surprises me. And a priority overlay where you can set different priorities, 9 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Okay, let's get started here. So you can usually want to start off by setting a dig order, maybe 1 on each side. I find that 4 tiles high is probably the way to go, because anything higher than 4 without a ladder, your duplicants can't reach with their dig tools. And here we can show some of the basic tips here. Using WASD keys to pan the camera around and mouse wheel to zoom in and out. H will return you to the printing pod here. The simulation can't, and apparently this is all a simulation right now as well. I'm not sure if that will change as the game gets more developed. We'll see. It can be sped up or slowed down by pressing the speed buttons up at the top left here, or by pressing tab, and space will pause or resume your game. Colony management. Duplicants are generally self-motivated and do not need to be individually managed in order to perform tasks in the colony. You can use the dig tool G and the build menu in the lower left of the screen to begin planning job tasks. Once you have placed a few, your duplicants will automatically work for you. And duplicants must have accessible paths to their job tasks in order to work. When placing tasks, keep in mind that duplicants can only climb obstacles 2 tiles high and are themselves 2 tiles tall. If you are unsure if a task you've placed is accessible, select the duplicant and click Show Navigation to view all the areas within their reach. All very useful tips to have early on. I'm glad that they have as much tutorialization as they do this early on. So these here are a couple of storage compactors where you can store all these materials that they're mining, otherwise they'll just be left on the ground. I normally end up leaving a bunch on the ground anyways, but it's good to try and get started on that if possible. And we'll build some cots for them to be able to sleep on here. And I will build the toilet, the outhouse I should say, shortly. The question is, where are we going to build that? Maybe just like off to the side here to start off with. And if you're starting out with this, it's not currently available for public access, but I should have double checked this before starting this video, but I believe starting May 9th, 2017, you'll be able to have access to this game in its early access form to the public. We'll allow all elements to be stored in those locations. And let's get the outhouses set up over here as well. They're going to continue digging out while we're working here, and this is more or less the gist of the game early on, at least. We should dig out that as well, because surely enough that is going to fall down there. Yeah, it sure did. Okay, and we should get some other essential services started up here as soon as possible. Maybe we'll get our manual generator set up right here, as well as maybe a couple of tiny batteries. Get the electrical wire hooked up between them. And it's very nice the way that they've set up everything as far as the electrical system, the plumbing system, the gas systems in this, how they have their own separate overlays that make it very apparent, like what's connected where, if there's a break in any of the lines, if there's not enough resources to get certain jobs done. I'm just very impressed with how this game has turned out this early on. Okay, so what else do we need here? I think I've more or less built all the early things that we can get. Missing resources, 400 raw material. Well, okay, we'll get the orders. Oh, I can't even make the order if I don't have enough materials. That should make sense in all senses of the word. But we should dig out a little bit more here for all of this here copper. And already you can see, like, there's different biomes that you get into eventually with chlorine, hydrogen pockets, vacuums, oxygen areas, carbon dioxide. Generally not ideal, but you have ways of dealing with it. Water. There are a few water pockets here, so this actually isn't a terrible start. In fact, a couple of pretty decent sized ones, if I'm gonna be 100% honest here. In fact, we should probably get a ladder down to that one as soon as possible. And you know what? Maybe even, well, I don't want to be building too many ladders to this same ones here. Is that contaminated oxygen? Okay, so that's not necessarily something ideal, but we can deal with it in a little bit. Okay, so we should start trying to dig out this way, open up this oxygen pocket here, as well as dig out some of this algae. We should also get some electrical wires. Oh, right, I can't do that until we have some more copper. Okay, that's my bad. We will set dig orders for, like, I don't know, like up to here to start off with. Maybe some tiles to finish up over here like that. Yeah, that looks good, I think. I guess you just can't, like, set up build orders for certain things unless you have the resources for them, which is interesting. I do appreciate that. Microbe. Sure. Can't do that either, eh? Can't do either of these. Okay, so we need a lot more copper pretty fast here. So I'm gonna set up some other things here. Down here you have access to all of your basic utilities as well, like being able to harvest, say, the mealwood here, prioritize different tasks. Like, I really want this copper here, so we're gonna make that a 6. Not necessarily, we don't necessarily need that right away. The copper is much more important for us. And you can set orders to sweep up all the stuff on the ground and get it into these compactors here. If anyone has a accident, per se, whether that be vomiting or peeing themselves, you can set mop orders as well. And you can also deconstruct whatever you need as well. And it's very nice that they have the options here to just deconstruct certain things like wires, liquid pipes, gas pipes, or buildings. Man, lots of stuff here now. Loving that. Yeah, I think we'll build the research station there and the supercomputer here and get those hooked up to power as well. Because your research stations are the basis of being able to get more important tasks done, essentially. Lots of resources. I love this. Unfortunately, we're starting to open up pockets of carbon dioxide already, which I'm not a huge fan of, but oh yeah, they're not digging that carbon dioxide all that much. We should probably get like an algae deoxidizer over there as well as soon as possible. Hook up the power all the way over to there. And now our guys are going to continue working on our current build orders. And if you hover over the printing pod, it tells you how long until new duplicates are available to you. And every time a new duplicate is available, you'll have an option between 3, and you can only select one of those 3. You have the option to reject all if you want, but then I believe it also takes longer for new duplicates to appear, unfortunately. Man, we need to figure out a place to put food. Probably like maybe over here we'll put food. Although it's not close to any water sources either. You know what? We'll put it like over here, I think. Yeah, that seems like a good spot. It's not too far away from water to generate food. Oh, and over time your duplicates will get skill increases as well. Cycle 1 report is available. Oxygen generation is not amazing, but you know, for a first day, only having lost 122.5 kilograms of oxygen, not too bad. And power usage and a lot of wasted power. That could be a little bit better. Calories eaten, not too shabby as well. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Skill increases. Oh, I actually didn't realize that this told you skill increases as well. Your duplicates gained a total of 2 skill levels today. And we have only had 9 seconds of idle time. You had 9 seconds to remain idle? We should speed up the game here a little bit. And all of their stress has gone down to 0 already, which is great, but trust me, that starts to go up pretty fast because as your duplicates become more skilled, their expectations of the colony become increasingly more demanding. We should sweep up that muckroot so that way they know to eat that eventually. And, you know, it might not be a bad idea to actually dig into here. The question is where. Maybe right there. Like that. Meant to... Wait, why can't I place the layer? Never mind. And so, yeah, they're starting to do their business there. We'll give them their privacy. And you know what? The breathable oxygen isn't too bad. It's not amazing by any stretch of the means, but it's definitely not terrible. We'll probably play this up until insufficient oxygen generation and insufficient resources. Oh, and no research task selected. We don't need to do research right, although it probably is a good idea. And right now, again, due to this being in a early alpha state, there will be more research options added later on, but this is what they have right now, which is actually fairly extensive, I would say, for even this early of a state. You have your interior decor, if you have that kind of sense in style. Not necessarily for me, but it's a good idea to get like eventually, because it gets you mess tables that can lower stress. Power regulation, liquid piping, gas piping, and farming tech. I usually go for farming tech sooner rather than later. You have to make sure that you have it set up so that they'll do that. And maybe we'll make sure anyone good at research? Yeah, you're good at research, so you'll be the only person that researches. Channel, Tilly, and Sadie. Very interesting names those fellows have. Please prioritize that so that doesn't like run out of foundation. There we go. Now we have 2 operational toilets. We don't have to worry about them having problems over there, hopefully. It's not guaranteed that we won't have problems over there. It's just we probably... Building entombed. Oh, god damn it. Get that out of here. So easy to have sand fall on top of buildings and make them inaccessible anymore. Oh, and we almost have access to this water here. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Now the question is, how do we go about the rest of this here? I think we might want to Oh, that's contaminated water? Oh, never mind. That water source isn't as great as I thought it once was. But you know what we could do? Not that this video is going to go on for that long. But what we could do if this were a longer running video or series, which I would love to do of this game. I think will definitely try and do that. 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll try and like dig out to here. And then we'll build ladders down to here. And then this can be our waste area. If we were to ever get liquid plumbing in this video, but I highly doubt that. Again, I think I'm probably only going to go up until we get our new duplicant here. Really need more algae, though. Like, badly. Like, very, very badly we need algae. In fact, so much so, I think I'm going to do some more dig orders over here. And as of course you can see, these aren't accessible right now. But the idea is that they will eventually become accessible. And I think I will prioritize these jobs over here so that way we can maybe make that stuff happen. There we go. Yeah. How's that look? That looks great. Oh, you're doing a great job there. Still have insufficient oxygen generation, unfortunately, but that won't be a problem for too much longer here. And it's only another 200 seconds before another duplicate is available. Possibly before the end of the day here? Maybe. Yeah, that could happen. There's still a good bit of time before this cycle is over. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This is what I like to see happen here. A good start to a colony. Man, I wish that this was for... I was using the seed for a series, but I think I would start up a new seed here for a series. Oh, don't get yourself trapped down here now. That's a terrible idea. Not enough oxygen generation over here. That's a reasonable concern. That's a very reasonable concern, which we will hopefully solve here. No one is on generator duties because everything else is taking up a higher priority. That makes a good deal of sense. Oh, and we have a new duplicant available. Choose duplicates. So we have a level 4 miner, Mamoru, Pam, and Spike. This one had, a couple of batteries there already. That's not looking so good. We have a chef here. That could be really good for us. Although he's dimensionally inept. Well, we don't need him for cooking. He'll be our cooking guy. And although tinkering is good to have, I think we'll go with Pam for the chef here. We do need to build them a bed. So we will do that. The question is, where are we going to build one? Not too close to the toilets, obviously. You know what? You can have your bed right next to where you cook. How does that sound? Make that a higher priority. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to be finished down here pretty soon. And I think this is probably a good point to wrap up this video. Again, currently not available to the general public yet, but it should be available not too long from now. Again, not 100% confirmed, but I believe it should be around May 9th that 1, 2, 3, 4 that this should be available in its early alpha state to the general public. In the meantime, though, hopefully I'll be making a series out of this that all of you can enjoy. And yeah, if you made it to this point in the video, or I will leave a link in the description to the Steam page, even though it's not available yet. And otherwise, if you made it to this point in the video, feel free to support it in the form of a like. It helps me out a lot and shows that you want to continue to watch this series. And if you want to see more content like this, you can always subscribe to my channel to be notified whenever I upload any new content. And let me know in the comments if you would like to see a series of this as well in this early alpha access state. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, though.